The last hurdle on the path to the Rugby World Cup Grand Final. The All Blacks to take on Argentina at Stade de France in Paris.
The stage gets bigger and bigger at this time of the tournament.
I don't want to be playing for a third and fourth game again.
We discuss selection changes and what to expect from the semi-finals clash. Kia ora, I'm Chereè Kinnear and this is Beyond the Game. Welcome into the New Zealand Herald's Rugby World Cup video news show. I'm joined by New Zealand Herald Chief Sports Writer Liam Napier. We're outside the All Blacks hotel where we've luckily got a little bit of a break in the rain, although it's starting to drizzle again. The All Blacks themselves had a pretty wet training session this afternoon, and Liam, it kind of illustrates, I guess, how long this tournament is because it's a completely different climate from when we started. But just over a week to go till that grand final, and it really is crunch time for the All Blacks.
It is indeed, and you're right, it has been a long haul for the All Blacks to get to this point, a long haul for you and me as well, but the temperatures dropped about 15 degrees in a couple of days. It's meant to rain pretty much every day until the end of the tournament, so that will affect tactics. It will potentially tighten the match up, perhaps bring a bit more kicking into the game, but it's all on the line for the All Blacks. They played a final last week and very much treating Argentina like another final.
Well, head coach Ian Foster's named his team to play Argentina. A few changes there, and most notably Mark Chereè is back after being stood down last week. How do you think he'll be feeling coming back into the fold?
Yeah, I think he'll want to prove himself and put in a really big performance because he messed up, broke team curfew, and it's pretty grim when you miss a World Cup quarter-final. Such a big occasion for anyone. But we've heard now that he's served his time, that's been put to bed, and as the incumbent left wing, he's been brought back. So he'll really want to stamp his mark and perform for the team because, he made a mistake, didn't he? But we all make mistakes, and he's been welcomed back with open arms, and hopefully he can go out there and score a couple of tries and help the All Blacks push on to a final.
Among some of the other changes, Sam Whitelock starts, Brodie Retallick on the bench. What do you make of that call?
Yeah, I think that's probably just a rotational thing. You've got three very experienced locks. Sam Whitelock, he's played 151 tests, the most experienced All Black in history, so I don't think you lose anything by promoting him to the starting side. Brodie Retallick and Scott Barrett played 84 minutes each last week, so pushing Brodie to the bench gives him a bit of a rest, and then he'll bring a lot of firepower. So I don't see that as a major change.
We heard from Ian Foster earlier on his selections and how he was feeling ahead of this week's game. So let's take a look at what he had to say.
Selection's always tough, and you're in the balance of continuity, combinations, and at this stage of the tournament, where there's kind of no tomorrow. And so for us, we've basically effectively trusted the combinations we had last week. We've switched obviously Sam and Brodie around. I think we've said it, we've got a lot of faith in all four of our locks, but particularly those three, are very, very experienced, and we just feel that having Sam start, bring a little bit of extra energy into that pack early. We've got Brodie coming off the bench. Samisoni in for Colsey is a very similar story. I think that got a lot of faith in all three of our hookers. I thought Colsey did a great job with, holding the composure of the team in the last part. Sonny's he's got a lot of pent up energy and he's ready to go. So we're just using a little bit of the energy of the squad at this stage because we feel we can without compromising the group. And like I said earlier, Mark's proven himself for us this tournament, and we believe it's right to put him in. So keep the changes to a minimum, but I think they're important. It's not a matter of trying to hold anything back. It's a matter of actually just treasuring the moment and treasuring each week. And the beautiful thing about this is that you've just got to go. You've got to give it everything every week, and there's just no tomorrow in it. And that's how we approached last week. It's how we're going to approach this week. Very simple formula, and not worry about, well, can we do what we did last week? Well, that's different. I mean, Argentina are a very, very different team, and they play a different way. And we've got massive respect for them. We know the breakdown's going to be exactly the sort of battle that we had against them the last 2 or 3 years. That's tough. They've got some backs that really want to play and open you up, and we've just got to be at our best. And so we just like to keep things really simple, not worrying about can we do it again, but just can we meet this challenge this week the way at the standards we want to, and that's our approach.
Coming down from the high of that massive quarterfinals win over Ireland last week wouldn't have been easy, but necessary for the All Blacks because the job's not over yet. What do you think they will have had to do this week to properly reset and make sure they're ready for the next challenge?
Yeah, it is a big test because there's a lot of emotion and euphoria that comes with a victory like that. A lot that goes into any quarterfinal victory, particularly over an opponent like Ireland. So have to get back to ground zero and then rebuild again. But it's a World Cup semi-final. I think it's very easy for this team to get up for that occasion. You've got a number of experienced players who have been there, done that. And 4 years ago, the All Blacks lost the World Cup semi-final. So there's a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, a lot of very prevalent reminders about that for a number of players who are also playing their last tournament. So there's no lack of motivation, no lack of scar tissue. So I think that'll put this team in a good space.
You mentioned that 2019 World Cup, because if the All Blacks lose this game, they still have to play next week for third and fourth, and that can't be easy, right, mentally and physically.
Oh, it's a horrific week. No team ever wants to play in that match. We heard from Dane Coles earlier this week and just how hard it is mentally, physically, emotionally to get yourself up and to have to front on that stage. So every player wants to be playing in the final, and basically that match is purely for financial purposes. No player ever wants to be involved. They don't want to be there. They'd rather be at home or on the beach somewhere or anywhere else. So that's a big motivation as well, to avoid having to get stuck in that fixture.
I feel like a lot of people are looking at this as if the All Blacks have kind of already secured their spot in the final, looking at Argentina as perhaps an easy win, but we have to remember that they did beat us on home ground last year. So what sort of threat does Argentina pose to our side?
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. Argentina, as you mentioned, that victory last year, but also in 2020 they beat the All Blacks for the first time in Sydney, and we've heard the All Blacks talking about those matches, reminding themselves, giving themselves a bit of fear, but they are heavy favourites for a reason. Argentina haven't been playing overly well. They scraped past Wales in their quarter-final. The All Blacks beat them by wide margins, 30-odd points in their last two fixtures. Man for man, they should be a lot better, but World Cup knockout matches can do funny things, cards, pressure, anything can happen. So the All Blacks will have to be on, and they'll know that.
Well, we heard from some of the All Blacks throughout the week to see how they were feeling, so let's take a look at what they had to say.
We know that the game just being the weekend is no indication of how we're going to play the following week. I feel like it's going to come down to the work we put in and the ability for us to turn up mentally right on edge and be better than before. So, we're obviously extremely driven to do that. And we're excited by the challenge. You feel we're in a good spot, but we've got to go again.
We've been in the team where we've lost to them in Aussie, lost to them in New Zealand for the first time, and that caused us, the team a lot of hurt. So I personally still have that fear of, and that fear drives you. It's good to have that, acknowledge that, and let it energise you and get to a place where you need to be.
Their speed, explosiveness. We're expecting anything, to be fair. We can only analyse what games we've seen previously. So we know defensively we've got to be really up for a physical battle for them to come through the heart there, and expect some silky footwork in the wide edges.
I remember being in the same position 4 years ago, and we didn't get it right that night, and this opportunity, that messaging this week around taking the learnings. But I think personally for me, going into this game, I want to really start better. My execution was off for a good chunk of that game, and I cost our team dearly with a yellow card, and my first two passes found no one. So personally, I'm just trying to make sure I can execute my role for the team.
Well, taking a look ahead at the forecast, looks like we might be in for our first rainy game day. Do you think, though, that will sort of play into the hands of the All Blacks a little bit? It's feeling a bit like New Zealand weather.
Yeah, the rain can be a bit of a leveller at times, but I think last year the All Blacks played the Pumas in Hamilton, and it was driving rain, and they won by 50-odd points. I think it's interesting, in the four quarterfinals, the four winners kicked more than their opposition, so I think the teams will take something out of that. The All Blacks found success with their short kicking game against Ireland, created 2 tries off at Richie Mo'unga and Bowden Barrett. They've also got Will Jordan, kicked a 50-22. Aaron Smith's a very good, astute kicker of the ball. So they've got a number of different options there. And their fullbacks, the All Blacks fullbacks, playing really well. So they can scrum, they can maul, they can play tight if they have to. So I don't think the rain will bother them too much.
Be interesting to see how everything unfolds. You can watch that game kick off, All Blacks versus Argentina, 8 a.m. Saturday morning New Zealand time. Follow all of the action at nzherald.co.nz. You can also listen to live commentary from Elliot Smith on News Talk ZB, Gold Sport and iHeartRadio. Well, that's it from us for now, but I feel like we've got to keep the predictions going, Liam. So what are you predicting for this game?
I'll say the All Blacks by 12 to 15 points.
We'll see how you end up. 12 to 15 to the All Blacks. Thank you so much for joining me again, Liam. We'll see you next time outside Stade de France to unpack everything that unfolds. See you then on Beyond the Game. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. To stay up to date with all the latest news from the New Zealand Herald, click the subscribe button below or check out one of the videos here, and head over to nzherald.co.nz for more details on these stories and more.